Hello, welcome to Sherriness Blooms, a podcast where we talk about blooming where you plant transformation, and late bloomers and how they can continue to bloom in their life. Today, I have a special guest with me, somebody that's like touching my heart, such pride. It's Lakita Wilson, who happens to be my little cousin. Um, and we're going to talk about her brilliant book, Pretty Girl County, about just the growing up in Prince George's County, where we're both from, and both from different parts of Prince George's County, but always came together as a family. So I just think that it's amazing that you wrote this book. It's for young adults, but excuse me, I read it and I was totally into it. And maybe because I grew up here and I felt this way. And the fact that it's called Pretty Girl County just really touched my heart. As you know, I'm a doll maker and I use doll making to lift up people, particularly of color, and find that their beauty inside and out. So talk about what made you think first to even call it Pretty Girl County and to write the book.
So, Pretty Girl County comes from just something I heard growing up. Like, just in high school, people would just give Prince George's County nicknames. And there were several, but like the ones that the girls would always say to each other was Pretty Girl County. And I always felt like it was one of those things, like maybe in my parents' generation, they would say loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And like to say you are from Pretty Girl County is to say, I see you. I see the beauty in you. Yeah. And so I always remembered that. It was always like a source of pride. Like, this is where I'm from. And like, people around me are saying, I see you, you're great. So when it came time to write another young adult novel, I talked with my publisher and we initially were going to go with another idea, but I wasn't as invested in that. I felt like, okay, it would be another rom-com and like, I can do that, but I wanted something that was a little more meaningful to me. And so I said, I come from this county and everywhere I look, there are Black doctors, Black dentists, the trash man is Black, the entrepreneurs are Black, now our senator is Black, our governor is Black. Yeah. So, and I didn't even, that wasn't happening at the time, but still it's like, I was talking to my publisher and I said, there is something about growing up in a place where everywhere you look, you see yourself. And so there are examples of how far you can go. And there are also examples of what you don't want to do. Like there are examples of people making mistakes and you're like, I might not want to go on that path. Right. But there is great beauty in that. And so as I'm talking, one of the editors is like Googling on her laptop and she's like, Prince George's County is a pretty big county. And so she's like, this isn't like, like a small city. It's pretty big. And so they just started saying, well, tell us more about growing up there. Just tell us anything you can remember, the good, the bad. And I just started talking. And then one of the things that sort of jumped out to them was when I said, Prince George's County is, when I was growing up, it was the wealthiest Black county. And now it's the second wealthiest. But there is great Black wealth there. But I didn't grow up in that section. I grew up in this other city. And all my childhood, I would be like, ooh, I want to go live behind those gates, or I want to like drive those fancy cars. And so I think that sort of they saw a little seed in that where we could create a story around that.
That's cool because I think that you might be maybe about 5 years older than my son. And I remember when he was in high school, we had a political figure that used to call it Gorgeous Prince George's.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, yes, Gorgeous Prince George's. And we would be like, don't call it PG County. It's Gorgeous Prince George's or Prince George's, because it'd be like, you call it PG, you're going to have a problem.
That was a thing for a while.
Yes.
And even I think Kevin Durant, like the basketball player, had come out with shoes and he called them the PG counties, and there was backlash over that because they were
Yeah.
like, no, not PG County. It's like say our
Say
name, Prince George's.
Say the whole thing, because
Yeah.
we were like, you're not calling any other county by those. You're trying to make it the Ninth Ward of DC, and we don't want that.
Yeah, you wanted, or everyone wanted, like the respect.
The respect is
yeah,
what we
that we
wanted, for
deserve
sure.
here. Yeah.
And we deserve it because it's like so much of in the story of how a lot of Black people migrated from just Washington D.C., just across the line. People coming from the South always, but that whole thing is we made this county into a cultural hub, into people who got all of their degrees, created businesses, and it's just a thriving Black, excellent, almost some people call it Wakanda.
Oh yeah, the Black Wakanda, absolutely.
So I think that it's so wonderful that you did that. And what else about the book that really struck me is that you didn't make it like catty. Like it wasn't like two girls fighting so much, even though they had conflict. It was just about like a real friendship, the complication of friendship, the growth, and coming from two different lifestyles, I guess. I mean, I think they started off with the same lifestyle, but it just showed how it really is in Prince George's County. Like you can be from Seat Pleasant, you can be from Bowie, Clinton, and you can still like chill with each other.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
And that happens a lot too, because especially when they started like busing the kids. Like I know in my generation, they weren't saying, oh, you're gonna walk to school. They were busing us to like schools that were not in our cities, and so we were all mixing together. So like I may have been from Seat Pleasant, and then there were people at my school that were living in Mitchellville, where like 10 years earlier that might not have been the case, and so you were always intermingling with people who come from different backgrounds as you. You may be the same race, but your socioeconomic status may be different. Cultural things that happen in your household may be different, and there's a way that we're all doing this dance with each other. It's like, how do we exist together, and what are the conflicts that come with it? When we, I've heard that before, like, oh, this is not like the girl fight book. And for me, I think that like a typical girl fight, like, oh, she wears better clothes than me, or what, like that would have been a little easy to just, throw into the book, but I didn't think that would have enough depth. I know, when I used to teach for Prince George's County Public Schools, and there were conflicts, a lot of times there was nuance to it. It was, it wasn't just cut and dry. A lot of it stemmed from hurt feelings that could be resolved with enough communication, or just like pausing a breath and thinking about like what the issue really is. And so I wanted it to be one of those friendship issues where not everybody is necessarily like I'm going to point at them victim. I mean, not victim, but villain. Not everybody is the victim, but it could be one of those things where you feel yourself growing apart and you don't know why, or you might have assumptions based on some things that you have going on internally, but you don't quite know how to fix it. I find that a lot of times the way that we come together and break apart can be, it's not so cut and dry.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's like another thing about Pretty Girl County is that, like you said, people can see us instead of thinking like all young Black girls are this way.
Yeah.
All of us are hard or not smart or sexualized. It was just like the complication of a human being expressing who they are, and they're all beautiful inside, but they could have conflicts with other people, and the way that it's played out is so beautiful.
Well, I also think that their particular conflicts is very Prince George's County coded, because so many of us here, we start in one place and we are very progressive. We're like, okay, like how do I get to those gates? How do I get to the well manicured lawn? How do I do better? And we have had over several generations so many opportunities for higher education, for entrepreneurship, for political stature. And so as we grow and become our best selves, not everybody's going to take that journey with us. And then what happens to the people that are still in the
Original spot.
you know, where you are rooted? Do they go, first of all, how do you change as a person? Like, you know, who you are on the inside, does it evolve in any kind of way? And does that affect like these, you know, original friendships? And then how does everyone around you react to that?
Right.
I've seen it, you know, I have friends now where like I show up for the cookout and it's not at the regular house anyway. It's like at a McMansion, and I'm like, woo, you guys did really good after college.
Right.
But it, you know, it can still be your friend, but you are looking at them like,
Wow.
why, right?
How'd you do that?
Who are you now?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
now you are, you know, like as we grow, it's, you know, it can be a struggle to try to like figure each other out, but also it can be an opportunity to like relearn each other
To relearn
in
each
these
other,
new
for
spaces.
sure.
Yeah.
That's what I call about blooming and transforming. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like I remember my mom and I love to go to bookstores. Like Borders, it's gone now. Like
I think
to
that's
sit
a
there.
family thing.
Yeah, oh my God, it's our thing.
Yeah.
So when I read your book and you talked about the father who owned a bookstore, I thought about Caribou Books. You remember that one?
I worked there.
Okay, so like I remember the owner. I know him. He
Yeah.
was cool, and I remember meeting great authors there and actually talking to them. And it's like a black bookstore in Prince George's County,
That
you know,
thrived.
selling black authors and raising them up. To me, that was just us blooming, like in the
It
county.
was.
Like it was so great to be able to go there, listen to music, have some cheese and crackers and wine sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It, you know, that bookstore was activism, because publishing can be very white. I mean,
Yes.
I have heard professionals in publishing say that they have been in rooms where they're the only black person in that room, and then like executives are saying, oh, well, you know, black people don't read, or we're not going to invest this much in this book because
Yeah.
you know, they're not going to be a bestseller. This is a black book, and they are the only black person in the room
Yeah.
feeling that. And I feel like at that particular time, Caribou said, okay, we're going to start with a kiosk. And that kiosk, they quickly outgrew that kiosk.
I
And
mean, from Forestville to
Forestville Mall.
to
Landover Mall, which
Landover
is
Mall
where I
to
worked.
Bowie. They had one in Bowie Town Center
Everybody
before.
keeps saying Bowie Town Center. Okay, so I know PG Plaza Mall
yes.
was
The main one, right?
the main one.
Yeah.
Landover Mall, Iverson Mall.
Oh, I didn't know it was
so
Iverson Mall.
Iverson Mall was like one of the newer ones, and then I think they actually went out to Pentagon, like right before.
did?
Yeah, right
Before
before
they
they
closed?
they
Okay.
closed. But working there, and so my experience was very similar to Summer's in the book. Like Summer works at this black indie bookstore in Seat Pleasant, and the bookstore that I worked in was in Landover, just
Okay.
up the road. But when the world tells you, well, first of all, when the world keeps black people from reading and they find a way anyway.
Yeah.
And then in this new generation, they were saying, oh, black people don't read. And we had to prove to them again,
Yes.
we can read and we love to read. as a 17-year-old, I was watching lines out the door when, Elin Harris had a book come out, Eric Jerome Dickey, Terry
Yeah.
McMillan. I mean,
I remember all those.
it was, first of all, it showed me rather than someone telling me, because no one was telling me this at the time, but it told me that Black books are not a monolith. Like, you don't just say, okay, here, here's your Black book you've read diversely, this week.
Yeah.
It's like that bookstore had a romance section, women's fiction, nonfiction. It had a conspiracy theory section.
Yes.
There are books that I have today that come from that. It opened my mind in a way that I'm a Terry McMillan, Connie Briscoe, Kimberly Lawson Roby fan for life. Like, those are my, books. But also I learned to love other genres from that store because it was there.
Because it was there.
Yeah.
And like what I liked about that bookstore as well, and not even knowing that you worked there, because I was going to the Bowie one, is the fact that it really opened up what we learned about ourselves, and all the people who worked there were extremely knowledgeable. Like, you can go to stores now or before, and they won't know. They'll have to look up, and it's okay to look up on the computer, but these people knew about the author and the book and the history and everything, which was always so cool for me. Just like Summer pulled out a book for the guy who came in the store looking for one for his wife, and he mentioned different names, and she put together that he meant these two authors and gave him an additional author.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool. Like, I think that's what I loved about that bookstore.
That probably kept me working there, because one of the books have always been like a friend to me. Like, I love books so much, and like, people would come in the store and they wouldn't know the title, and they could just tell me about it, and in a few sentences I would find the book.
Okay.
And so the owners, they noticed that part. Like, okay, she's because I was a teenager, like, I was learning how to be an employee. So it was definitely taking a chance on me, but that love of books was there, and I felt like everybody in the store had a love of books.
Yeah.
And not only that, this was the time I worked there when Mama's Gun by Erykah Badu had released, and Jill Scott. Was it called Jilly from Philly, or are we just calling it? It might have just been titled Jill Scott.
Jill Scott, I think.
Yeah, but those two albums came out, so I was immersed in the Black experience.
Yeah, that's hot.
In a way, like, I'm already from a Black county, but they were like, we're gonna go even Black. We're gonna really inject the culture into you.
The culture,
and
it's so rich.
It's an experience I'll never forget.
And I loved also in the book how, like, people came together to try to save the store.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of Black ownership of businesses. I mean, your father and your mother, you may have lived in Sea Pleasant, but they had this amazing business. I remember that before I even had my own business. I used to think, my mom and I talked about the fact that was amazing. And they got this beautiful house in Sea Pleasant. I don't sleep on that, being in Sea Pleasant. There's a beautiful house in Sea Pleasant. I remember this.
It became a landmark.
Yes.
Over the years, they were like, okay, so you have to go down the street when you get to the yellow house. Like, you'll see it. Like, just go.
So, to me, it filled the soil for us to be able to make our own businesses and become like this part of this culture of the Pretty Girl County. Even men, being part of this thriving place. And I like in the book how, again, people came together to fight for this bookstore, and even snobs, who liked Mo County better.
Yeah.
I like that, how you brought that in. I even also enjoyed just the references to Black colleges, HBCUs. I was disappointed that Hampton wasn't in there, but I'm gonna let you slide. But I think like Spelman and Howard and Bowie, and how, like, even when I was in high school, I wanted to go to FIT as well as
Oh,
As
really?
Rhea did in the book.
Okay.
And I was a fashion design major. I ended up going to Hampton, but I wanted to go to FIT, and I couldn't get in because I did not have the
Uriah.
portfolio. I didn't have it. Like in high school, I went to high school in Clinton when it was mostly
Yeah.
white,
Yeah.
and my counselor was not interested in helping not just
Mm,
me, but most Black people. Like he was just like, "Oh, just take our classes," because I was finished with most of my classes. Who knew I needed chemistry or a portfolio making class? Like I
yeah.
had no idea, and so I just didn't get in
Uriah.
to
I
any of
can't,
those.
so this is yours without me even knowing
When I
that
saw
that
that,
piece. You're like,
right?
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know, I, so to the Black colleges thing, I think first of all, we are very lucky to have so many HBCUs in
Exactly.
driving distance here. So it's
Yes.
like we have no excuse. Like you can go to an HBCU and
Mm-hmm.
it be affordable. Like here. But also sometimes when I hear HBCUs, Spelman gets the glory, Howard gets the glory, Morehouse, and I'm like, we have Bowie State right here, and it's such a beautiful campus. It is the oldest Black college in Maryland, and
Mm-hmm.
I decided if I'm going to show love to this county,
You have to pump it
I
up.
have to you are going to be the.
Yeah.
It's almost I swear to you, it is almost like a walking advertisement because I'm like, I'm going to show my readers how beautiful this school is. So I had to actually, because the last time I had been on Bowie's campus, it was before it got the facelift. So
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say it has transformed
I
into so
drove
much.
around like, this is Bowie State. Like, I
Yes.
mean, it has elevated so much, like aesthetically, and it's just a good university for our Black students that isn't often talked about when we're talking. I even hear Hampton, like because
Yes,
there's
you
the
hear that
Howard
more
Hampton.
Howard Hampton thing,
Um,
the original HUs.
yeah.
Whatever.
So you hear that, but I never hear Bowie State in the conversation, and so it was very important for me to put this university in a book.
You just slid it in there and you
Yeah.
did it great. I love it. I just love it because it also is a school of art and fashion now too. Like it is an amazing school. In fact, in here we have a fashion house called D Park, Design Park,
Okay.
where a lot of interns or I forget what they're called, but they become part of the cohort over here, and
Okay.
they do fashion, and it's beautiful. And they're
Oh.
teachers from Bowie State that helped them get through this whole cohort session.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really connected. Bowie State is doing great things, and like I said, this is a podcast about blooming, and they have bloomed. They just come
Yeah.
so far. I'm so impressed how the book just touches all of this.
I mean, no, there isn't an indie bookstore in Sea Pleasant, but it was a nod to one, Karibu, because I loved it so much. But it was a nod to all of the other small businesses that are in Sea Pleasant that are beloved. Growing up in Sea Pleasant, it felt like I know my neighbors, and we
Yeah.
are a community. It wasn't until I got older that I started to sort of hear what people were saying, because there is a crime. When I was growing up, there was a crime problem in Seat Pleasant, and we were just coming off of the 80s, and there were people who were addicted to drugs, and that was affecting households. But that wasn't the main thing that I saw, because I was inside of that community.
That's right.
So I was able to see, the closer you are to something, the more you're able to see the beauty. So I saw Price's Barbershop that was owned by a Black man. And I probably can't point to a boy that grew up in Sea Pleasant that didn't have
go
his
to that
hair
one.
cut there.
Yeah.
And, it's called Pop and Sons now, but at first it was called, I don't know why it's like,
Some tip of your tongue.
yeah, but but the dad, Keith and Sons.
Keith and Sons. I've heard of that,
Right.
actually.
Keith and Sons was this, we had our carryouts, but we also had this soul food carryout before Carolina Kitchen.
I think Keith and Sons still around, though.
No,
right?
it is.
Okay, yeah.
But the son of Keith and Sons became, he became like the owner, like he elevated, and now his son. So it's like it's a family business, growing generational wealth, and those are staples of our community, and we can't. So like there was a point in the book where a small business is being threatened, and I wanted to show like how. Yes, this is somebody's livelihood and it's going to affect them if it shuts down, but also everybody else in the neighborhood is going to be affected as well, because these are the things that add value when other people can't see it.
Yeah. No, this is incredible. I love the authors that you mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
We talked about you talked about Terry McMillan, Octavia Butler.
Oh yeah.
And then you talked about Connie Briscoe, who also wrote a book about Prince George's County.
She
called it
in the
PG
book.
County.
Yeah.
So she was in the book. And I find it so amazing that, you have her in the book. She wrote you a little piece on the back of your book.
Yeah.
And then you came in here with a book that I happen to be in that she wrote, which I'm so impressed by, Stepping Out. So
I was so over the moon about that. Like, you don't understand. I saw you post one day and I'm like, Connie, wait a minute, because I love Connie Briscoe for her story, but also it did so much to me to see my county and then my actual city. That's the first and I believe only other person who's ever mentioned Seat Pleasant, like my hometown, in a book. So I was like, you wrote this for me. And so she has a special place in my heart. I felt like I couldn't, because I had mentioned her name 100 times to my publisher while I was pitching this, I was like, I have to get her blessing. I don't care. I'm like in her DMs, emailing, like I'm like, Connie Briscoe, I love you, and like hoping that she'll be like, okay. But I wanted her to say, so
it's good.
yeah, I'm giving you my blessing. You did good with this, because it meant so much to me. But then when this book comes out and I'm like, my cousin's in that book, it's like, okay, Connie Briscoe, I love you even more now. Like
it's such a connection. Huh?
Yeah.
I thank you for purchasing that and seeing me in that. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. I want you to sign it. I want Connie Briscoe to sign it, because I just that's special to me.
Thank you. This is special to me too. I think that all of this goes with my theme. That Sherriness theme is about Sherriness Blooms.
Yeah.
And so one thing I would like to talk about is late blooming.
Okay.
Like I felt like when I heard you speak at a book signing that I was at, you talked about how you kind of wrestled with becoming a writer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so then you went back to school later on so that you can really do this the right way. So talk about that.
Well, before Caribou, writers were just a picture. They were just a picture on the back of a book. Like I didn't even think of them as living, breathing humans that are walking around on the street. I'd never met an author, especially a Black author. I mean, before Caribou Bookstore, I mean, for a very long time, that wasn't being presented to me in school. I would go to the library and they weren't the books that were front facing. And so becoming an author, even though I liked to write when I was younger, becoming an author that didn't seem like something that was feasible. I mean, it didn't feel real to me.
It feel like a real job, as people will say, when you're doing that and you're doing your passion instead of a government job.
Yeah. And I mean, So I went with something else that I loved, but felt safer to me, which was teaching. Like I loved children and I knew I wanted to work with them in some capacity. And so I did choose a safe option. And it wasn't until like maybe 2017 and I was in my mid 30s and I wanted to write. But I still didn't have the confidence. So I started pulling in friends that had like went to school for writing or like could illustrate. I was like, let's all make this book together. But like I don't know if they were in that space at that time to create. And now knowing what I know about creating, especially with literature, is a lot of times it's a solo. Like it's a solo endeavor that you have to sit with for so long and like just like really dig deep into yourself to produce. And so I don't know if that would have worked out anyway, but it just, they really weren't in a space because this was like one of my passion projects. I wanted to write a book, but I wanted their help. And so it ended up not happening. But what it did was it sort of pushed me forward to try to write. But I didn't know the first thing. Like I read books and I knew what I liked when I read, but I didn't know how to start a book. Like page one, what do you do? And so I literally did like the most amateur writing thing. I'm like, hi, I'm Haley. I'm 14. I'm like telling the reader, you know, here's my biography, but really I'm supposed to be telling a story. And so I ended up, because I didn't know how to turn my thoughts and ideas into a body of work. And I was going to workshops, but like it was giving me like 45 minutes, like a little bite size, this is what you should do. But I wanted to immerse myself and like really learn. And I remember feeling like silly about going back to school. I was like, okay, like my degrees are in education. Like I went to college. Who am I to like go back to school now? But my children were older. They didn't need me as much. They were actually kind of doing their own thing. And I had the time. I had the time to do it. And my mom was like, why not?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just someone saying, why not?
Right.
That it makes you think differently. And that sort of gave me the confidence to say, okay, I will. And so it was one of the best decisions that I ever made for my career, because it not only, I had, you know, different advisors per semester, like hand holding me and looking at my work for the first time and helping me evolve it. But also I was learning the community of writers and how much you need each other to get through the really difficult parts of publishing. So I was learning how to be in community while I was learning how to write at the same time. It was a great 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to go back, but I'm not doing it. I was like, I need another 2 years now. But
oh, that's incredible.
It was a motivator, definitely.
Yeah.
And most of the people in the program, because it was a low residency program, which means we weren't in Vermont for 2 years. We were just in Vermont for 10 days, and then we would go home for 3 months. And we would interact with our advisor over email. Like we would write, give them our work, they would give us feedback. And it worked very much like how publishing works now. Like I write, give my work to my editor, she makes her notes, gives it back. And so they were mimicking that. And there were not a lot of young people in the program.
Oh, nice.
Because this was for the student who is not, you know, they're not fresh out of high school and ready to go away and stay on campus for a year.
Okay.
We all had jobs and things like that. So it was perfect.
So that's great, because it feels sort of like as a late bloomer, I've had quite a few fellowships and artisan residencies. And so that to me, I felt like I was a late bloomer, because when I was in college, you know, then I just came out and got like, you know, I got a job, which was a great job at U.S. News and World Report in the publishing industry. And I started at the bottom as a copy clerk and moved my way up. I actually showed my portfolio to the art department, and they were like, oh, you should be working here. And then I moved up, and then I
You
go over
worked
to BET.
you worked in the art department of a publishing house?
Yes. So yes, at
Okay.
both, like at U.S. News and World Report and at BET for the two magazines, Emerge
Oh.
and Young Sisters and Brothers. So yeah, I also did some work for the Crisis magazine,
Mhm.
and I was doing all this and it was great, and then the industry started to tank.
Mm.
And as the industry started to tank, I was also a graphic designer.
Yeah.
So I didn't come in as a graphic designer. I I came in as a production person.
Okay.
So I would be the one that's the liaison between the designer, the writer, and the printer, and making sure everything's printed, paginated, page, everything.
Yeah.
And I also started to do more of my graphic design.
Mhm.
So yeah, by the time I got to where my career probably would have been like, oh yeah, now she's making lots of money and now
Yeah.
she got all the retirement, it tanked completely. And,
Mhm.
everything went to cell phones, and it
It
just
has
was very depressing.
it has had a
So
rippling effect
it's a
because
rippling effect. Yeah.
with media shrinking and not as many freelancers and just
Yeah.
like the way that it's going, like even when we go to like promote like Pretty Girl County or other books, there's not a lot of those like traditional, yeah, traditional
In-person stuff.
mhm,
And yeah.
so it's definitely harder to make your voice heard in an industry that already may not be like front facing you as much. So
Yes.
um
It's
so
different.
yeah, I did not know that. Okay, we need to like
Yeah, I
have tea,
did.
and I need
Yeah,
to
to
like
have tea. Like this
yes,
is what we
I
have
know.
here. Yeah, so that's a lot. So I think
Yeah.
that while I was working, I also volunteered at museums, right?
Okay.
So particularly the Anacostia Museum in Southeast Washington D.C.,
Yeah.
and that's where I actually one of my art teachers, one of my professors was in a show there, and I remember her. She was so great, and she suggested to the museum, because I was a docent,
Okay.
so she suggested that I do a workshop that went with the particular exhibit that was there. It was dolls, watercolors, and quilts. I think she was a
Yeah.
watercolorist, but she also hung things from it that was beautiful. She has beautiful work,
Yeah.
and I so admired her. And she often said to me, she didn't want me to ever become a frustrated artist, which I actually became.
I think
But
we
she
all
was like,
yeah.
she suggested that I teach a doll making workshop there because I made dolls at the time,
Yeah.
and I did. And so, and these people at the Anacostia Museum were like a black college. They were so supportive and helped me with all. They just sent me places to do the workshop, everything.
Yeah.
They were great. And so, but as I was making the dolls with people, little kids, I saw the whole issue of colorism, self-esteem, everything in that, and making the dolls and helping it look like them really helped. They really started to see themselves
Yeah.
after they saw the doll, which was abstract. It's just a stuffed doll, I saw them giggle and just come alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I can do this. So because I started doing it before the whole thing tanked with publishing,
Yeah.
it was what I looked to when I started not to be able to find freelance or any work at all. And though it didn't pay like my jobs did, it didn't give me security. It touched my soul, and it transformed my soul, because something about helping other people see themselves helps you see yourself as well. And so then it really brought back fashion for me,
Yeah.
and in the doll. And then I started to model more, and and then I became Miss Maryland recently. I feel like it's just a whole transformation of a circle of things. And being in this book really impressed me as well, because I was asked to be in this book. But when you tell me that you saw this book and you bought it, it just really brings home to me that I have done some things in the world.
Oh yeah.
And I'm connected. So I feel
Do you know
really impressed.
the first time I ever so you have been like this mystical character, okay? Because the first time I was at my Aunt Linda's house, and she's like, there's this magazine. And yeah, so like, and this was, and I was so young, and she's like, this is your cousin Sherri, and this is, and I'm looking, I'm like, they're in a magazine. So to me, you were just a celebrity. Like so then like the next time I saw you, I'm like,
it was Heart and Soul magazine. My mom and I, was that when my mom and I modeled in that one?
I thought it was,
Heart and Soul.
it wasn't Ebony?
No, it was Heart and Soul.
Oh, it's Heart and Soul. Okay,
Heart and Soul, yeah.
See, my little young eyes, I was like, Black magazine, like just gave it a name. But you were in print, and it was like, I mean, it felt like growing up, and it was an article about like, look at them, they're this age and they're just so beautiful, and I felt like that image was always available to me because yes, there's like an outward, beautiful aesthetic that people can have, but there's just something so rich about peeling back layers to a person and finding out what makes them beautiful on the inside too.
Yes, I
and
agree.
So I like, even like with the title, there was a point, even though I knew what the meaning was, I didn't want people to like mistake this for just
superficial.
this like
I
vain
agree.
thing, like, oh, look at us. I really wanted it to be about finding beauty in everywhere. Like Tupac says, like, the rose grows from the concrete. It's like these two girls are having this issue with each other, and it looks nasty on the outside, like they may never regain that friendship, but there was something beautiful about them rebuilding. There's something very beautiful about you saying, hey, I was working in this industry, the industry started to tank, like you could have given up. But there was concrete. They were literally laying out the concrete where you may not have survived, but you found the cracks to bloom anyway and say, what am I interested in? What do I want to do with my life?
Right.
And that's also, to me, like one of the beauties of getting, of growing older. Like as I, meander around through my 40s right now, I'm like, when I was in my 20s, I did things because I had to.
Wait. But first of all, let's just go back. 40s? What?
Yes. And someone just told me the other day, like, you're not, because now I just say 40, even though I'm like 40 something. And like,
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
Listen,
like,
I
I'll
just
say
remember
50
you
when
as a
I'm
little
50.
girl as well. So that's why I'm like, wait,
you're like,
40s? When did you get to be 40? Okay.
my mom is always extremely shocked that her children are
right.
like, wait a minute, because if you guys are 40,
right,
so,
exactly.
But when I was in my 20s, I did things because I had to. I felt like it was a growing season where I'm like, I just want to get to a point where I am stable. And I feel like, okay, 30s, I'm still growing and everything, but 40s, I'm doing things because I want to. And there's a lot of beauty in that. Like, you creating these dolls is you looking at yourself, looking at others around you and saying, what do we need in our community? And like, how can I take a piece of my heart and put it into art
like
for someone else? So, and you're doing that because you want to. So there's something, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I just feel like when I just, reading the book just warmed me so much because it was just everything about the same thing. It's the same thing I do with dolls. And it's just told in just a really, not necessarily cute story, but just a story with depth that's funny, and I just was so amazed that it's written for the young adults, but but maybe I'm just like a kid anyway, like I could be a kid forever. But I do think most women that read this book are really going to feel it. It's not just for kids. I do know that there was a couple of young girls that just graduated high school that I thought that I would get this book for, even though they're not even from Maryland. It resonates everywhere,
I think so. I think the story of Prince George's County, it can be a mirror to to our girls who are saying, what do I want to do after high school? Or, am I brave enough to follow my dreams? Or can I make these things happen? But it's also a window to other readers who are like, I've never heard of Prince George's County, or what do you mean there's Black girls driving around in convertibles? Like, that doesn't happen. It kind of, it does in this county. But like, I felt like I was giving representation to those that don't see it enough, but also providing a window to those who need to see us a little bit more.
They can see us, or can hear on the news about it and don't really know. They hear the negative part, even from like county officials who've done bad things. I'm just really, I really am so incredibly proud of you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so happy you're my cousin. And, your dad called me after we saw each other. He's like, thank you for, supporting my baby. I'm like, what?
They're like, Sherri, I was like, Sherri, because you're still, like, to me, you will, I think because I was a little girl looking at you in a magazine, you're always like the family celebrity to me, because I'm like, now, I'm having my book launch and I look over and I'm like, it's Miss Marilyn Senior, everybody. Like, you excite me because you are the artist side of me. Like, I find that like various family members, we all have pieces of everybody else in us. And like, I feel like my grandfather was very good at getting to the money. Like, he's okay.
And by the way, he's my grandmother's brother. So,
right. So you're right. I was trying to, in my mind, I was like, uncle or great uncle?
Yeah.
What?
He'll be my great uncle because he's my grandmother's brother.
Okay. Got it. So he was an entrepreneur.
He was.
Entire
back in the day. He
life.
Was
and when I think about the drive that I have, I'm like, oh, I have a piece of him.
Yeah.
There are things about my grandmother, both of my grandmothers, that like I carry a piece of them with me, and so whenever I just like, I don't know, talk with my family, I'm like, what pieces of me, do we connect? And I think we have like that.
We do.
We
I'm
like
so
to
happy
create.
we found it too. Like, I'm just so proud of you. I mean, so what's next? Like, what are you doing next? I know this book has left open another book.
Well, it is definitely my dream. This is my dream. And if people get to the end, they'll probably see what I tried to like sneak in there. But I tried to end it in a way that would allow me to take some of the characters to college.
Nice.
And like, if I could have a novel called Bowie State, and it's like, 4 college students from all walks of life are thrown into college, and this is their freshman year, like, I would do it in a heartbeat. But publishing is, once you pull back the curtain on publishing, you realize like sequels don't happen just because like you want them to. It's like, if the book becomes a bestseller, then they're like, hey, we need book 2. But if it, is like one of those quiet books, and they're like, well, we want you to write about something else, because where novel writing is all about the art, publishing is a business, and they're like, hey, exactly. we want to make money. So I'm crossing my fingers. Obviously, this book is very close to me for multiple reasons. I want it to do well, but mostly because I want to get it to readers, and I want to be able to continue writing in this universe. So that is the hope after this. But the actual like reality, like, what am I doing now? I am writing my first adult novel. So I'm working on my voice. Like, I felt like this was my intro into, okay, they're older and they're about to go to college. Now let's see if I can write some characters that are in their 20s and see what they're going through. So
that's nice. Okay. I love that. So do you think that this book or any other book will go to a rom-com television or a movie? Like,
that is always the dream. Okay, so
I can
that's
see
so
this. I can see this. And plus, we have actor in our family. Barry, you know Barry, my brother, Barry. I don't know if you
Barry's
remember
an
him.
actor.
Not him. His daughter.
Oh,
His daughter,
what? Okay.
Moni. She's an actress.
Where is
So
she in LA or in Atlanta?
she's
Like,
here, but
yes.
yes,
Is she
she's
doing theater
actively acting.
acting or?
No, she does television and stuff like that. So
Oh,
she's breaking in more. She's developing.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh.
You have to get together with her because she would probably be. I could see one of those characters being her. That doesn't mean she'll get it because I know how the industry works. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But look, that would be another 6 degrees of separation.
that
Okay,
would be
I didn't think I would open a Connie Briscoe book and you're like posing around, you know. So I'm like, listen.
Yes.
But I mean, that would be the dream. I even like just as like one of those pie in the sky wishes I posted and was like, hey, you know, did you like Bel Air? What about if it was Bel Air but PG County? And
Yeah.
like I was like listening to what the feedback was, because I would love to see this on the big screen.
I would too.
I mean,
I think it's perfect for it. I mean, who am I? I've been in publishing for a long time, so maybe I know something. But
listen,
yeah.
we have to get like the word out to, because the biggest thing I think, there are a lot of books that are very well written. The themes are amazing, cliffhangers, everything's right, but they don't have the visibility. And so readers just don't know that they're there. And so I think my main goal with this book is to make sure that readers just know it exists.
Get it out there.
And
for
I
sure.
think once that happens, dreams follow.
I
You know?
agree.
Yeah.
So we're gonna think that's it. And I really appreciate you coming here on Sherriness Blooms to talk about this amazing book and how brilliant you really are. And I'm so proud of you. Thank you for coming. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it
This was
so
great.
much. Okay.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.